Alright, everybody, we're going to do a Trucking 101 video. I haven't done one of those in a long time, and the reason we're going to do one is because I've been doing a lot of sleeper berth provision this week, just because I had what I would like to call, I don't know, I want to call it the load from hell, but I'm not entirely sure it is. So I will tell you guys about it, and as I'm discussing it, I'll decide whether or not it's the load from hell. So, I did the window load last week, like I told you guys that I wanted to do. I did go out to Phoenix and everything. I ended up booking a load coming back from Phoenix from Monday that delivered in Fort Worth on Wednesday, which is today. No. Yes. No. Today's Thursday. That's right. Okay. It's kind of running together a little bit. I want to rant about that load, but I'm going to do that in another video, which I will probably make while I'm sitting here, waiting for this load to pick up, which is the window load again. And then I'm probably going to do an opinion video too. I don't know. Anyway, so here's how it went down. So I went into Phoenix, got to the window load unload on Monday at about 8:30. There were a lot of windows that had to be that were on the trailer and everything. So they had to be unloaded on. They had to be unloaded for. Think they had to be unloaded. It took a long time to get them unloaded. I was there for 5 hours. Now what I'll do typically is, if I can, I will mark off in the sleeper berth and go in the back, take a nap. If not take a nap, then at least play on the phone or something like that. But I'll go in the sleeper berth and stay in the sleeper berth while I'm getting unloaded for stuff like that. So we sat in the sleeper berth for about 5 hours on Monday, and then I got done with that. I had to go get a washout, so I went and got that done, and then I went to go pick up the load of cans that I was picking up. That load, I got there at 3. The appointment was originally for noon, and I couldn't get there until 3, but I was calling the broker on a regular basis and contacting them and making sure they understood. They said it was fine, don't worry about it, they'll work you in, they're going to be great about it, blah, blah, blah. I got to the shipper on Monday about 3 o'clock and did not get loaded and out until about 1:30 in the morning. So I went into the sleeper berth, went in the back, kind of laid down, played on the phone for a little while, and kind of waited for them to get me loaded. Well, it was like 1:30 in the morning when they finally loaded me. And so 1:30 in the morning, I left and was able to drive. I drove to Lordsburg, New Mexico, stopped there. I was trying to, the appointment for the load was 11 a.m. on Wednesday. Well, at 1:30 in the morning, you're leaving Phoenix, and you're 1,000 miles away. It was just barely going to happen. And I figured it out. I had enough hours if I used the sleeper berth provision to get there. So on Tuesday, so I drove until Tuesday around 7:30 or so. I got to Lordsburg, New Mexico. I parked in Lordsburg, New Mexico. I go into the sleeper for 4 hours, okay? And then I got up around 10:30 or so, and I drove the rest of the way into Fort Worth. And I drove to Monahans, Texas, Tuesday night. I got there about 6:30. And I had enough time left to get to Monahans. So I got to Monahans about 6:30, crashed in Monahans, did a whole 10-hour break, got up at 4:30, and went ahead and drove on into the shipper, and got to the shipper by 11 o'clock. So I used the sleeper berth provision Monday and Tuesday to basically keep the load moving. Now, Wednesday was like a whole other disaster. I'm gonna say that for another video. So, but I wanted to show you guys the sleeper berth provision. So I'm gonna pull that up. I'm gonna put it in the KindMaster. I'm gonna do my magic as far as editing is concerned, and we're gonna talk about it. Okay. All right. So we're gonna talk about this. Just this blog from Tuesday, okay? We're going to talk about what it looks like and everything, and exactly how I use the sleeper berth provision. So, okay. 2 things you need to know. 1, your log will only log the times in your home terminal time. My home terminal is in the central time zone, so because it's in the central time zone, it will only log in the central time zone. So I was in Goodyear, Arizona, you could see, at midnight, okay? And then at 3:07 or 1:07 in the morning, Goodyear time, I was loading and doing my pre-trip, all right? So what I did was I went and I dropped the trailer at the receiver, or the shipper, and then they took it from there, and I went in the sleeper berth, or I went off duty. And you can see I went off duty until almost, until 1 o'clock in the morning. They came and told me that the trailer was ready. So I got up and I went to get the trailer and everything and hook back up to the trailer and do my paperwork and everything. And then I took off. So it was loading, pre-trip, and then take off. And I drove for 1 hour and 11 minutes. And then I stopped north of Arizona City to get fuel. And then I drove for 3 hours and 20 minutes. Now, I went all the way to Lordsburg, New Mexico at, it looks like 8:15 basically is when I got there, but it was actually 7:15 New Mexico time. So I pulled in about 7:15, and then I went in the sleeper, okay? And on the sleeper berth provision, you are allowed either off-duty or in the sleeper berth, you can have 2 hours or 3 hours, but you have to get a subsequent number of hours after that in order to qualify for the sleeper berth provision. So what it does, see here at 8:15, okay, I went in the sleeper berth. Now, I can do off-duty or sleeper berth for the first part of it, but the second part absolutely has to be sleeper berth, okay? So for the first part, I go into the sleeper berth. The first 2 hours would qualify me for the sleeper berth provision. I, on the other hand, wanted to get a good nap, so I stayed in the sleeper berth for just a little over 4 hours. I got up after 4 hours. I drove for a little while. You can see I went off duty, or on duty for a few minutes. I don't remember why, and I don't remember where, and I can't scroll down to show you where. But I went on duty for a few minutes. I'm going to assume for fuel maybe, or probably fuel or something like that, but I'm not 100% sure. And then you can see I went off duty. I drove for another few minutes, and then I went off duty for a few minutes, and then I drove for a little longer. And by this time, I'm in Texas, and right there at about 6:30 or so, I arrived in Monahans, Texas, and I parked for the night, and I marked off in the sleeper berth provision. I stayed in there until 4:30 the next morning. I got up and I started my clock about 4:45, and I drove on into Dallas. So this shows almost perfectly exactly how you can use the sleeper berth provision, okay? So here, off where it marks off duty, I had 10 hours off duty. Now, I was in the sleeper during that time. I could have, I should have marked sleeper, but when you're off duty for your 10-hour break, you can either mark off duty or you can mark off sleeper berth. They prefer that you mark off sleeper berth, but generally I don't have any problem if I mark off duty, and I forget to mark sleeper berth when I go to bed. I try to mark it all the time. I don't always work. But anyway, so you can see I got up, I did my on time, my loading, my pre-trip. I drove for a little while, I got my fuel. Then I drove for a long time, went to Lordsburg, and then I stopped, got my 2 or 3 hours in the sleeper berth, drove for a while, and then I got the rest of my time that evening in Monahans, Texas. And this is exactly how the sleeper berth is supposed to work. Now, what this did and what it allowed me to do was it allowed me to move the load further in the same amount of time and then still have enough time to move the load later. Okay? So, with that being the case, I was actually able, even though I left on, from Goodyear, you could see I left at 3:07 in the morning. Because of this, I was still able to get my full trip out. I was able to get rest in the middle of it because I was tired. I'd been up late the night before, waiting for them to finish because I thought they were going to be finished sooner. And but I was able to get some rest, and then I was able to continue the trip on out to Monahans. It's getting dark here where I'm at in Bryan, and anyway. Hopefully that gives you a good idea of how the sleeper berth provision works and everything. I pulled the little bit of law off the Cornell Law University website. I typed in FMCSA 395.1, and that was one of the options. And that actually gave me the full law where I could look at it and read it myself. So that was actually quite helpful, and I hope you guys enjoyed me including that. But that's how the sleeper berth provision has been working for me. I have used it twice this week. I was going to use it again today to try to move this load, but they're running really behind here at the factory. So I'm, again, sitting on this load. So this week has been a lot of sitting still and everything. But I'll get to that in my my rant about sitting at shippers and everything, which doesn't really apply to this place. I kind of been more understanding about them here and everything than I am about the other place that I set. So anyway, that's it. You know the drill. Keep trying to set up. See you down the road. Hope this helped. Bye.